Hey Explorers, this episode was brought to you by Anchor.fm. It's the distribution service that we use to get this podcast to you. And to be honest, it's great. It's free. There's tons of creation tools that let you edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. They upload it to everything, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and tons of others. You can even make money with no minimum listenership. So it's got everything you need in just one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Oh, Christ. Why do we do this? For the fans.
Yeah, we do it so that the fans will never know what.
So that they don't have to.
Antics.
Welcome back! Tiger style. Well, that's Wu-Tang Clan, isn't it?
Yeah.
Banger. Utter banger. Anyway, welcome back to Rules as Written, the D&D podcast where we tell you the rules.
As they are written.
Zing. Today, we're going back to the classes. What we got lined up for today?
We're going to talk about druids.
Woo! Why don't I do a spooky
Nature.
sound? Like,
The druids are
it's
the
more of a
spookiest,
warlock.
I guess. We'll save that one.
so, druids have a USP. What is their USP?
What is a USP?
Unique selling point.
Ah. I see we have marketing man here.
Druids have a USP.
KOLs.
What do
What's
druids?
your KPI?
I hate you. What do druids do?
Okay. Well, druids, their KPIs are all focused around nature and animal.
They turn into animals. Okay, that's what they do.
Yeah.
They'll turn into animals. That's what you do as a druid.
They like nature.
That's it. That's the whole thing, basically.
Yeah. They like nature.
Mm-hmm.
All that kind of stuff.
Delicious water.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like everyone knows what druid is, like based on
Yeah.
like Radagast the Brown and stuff. You know.
yeah, pretty much. Although, Radagast is more like a different circle of druid.
What would you put Radagast as?
Radagast is a circle of the land druid because that leans more into the spell casting, but liking nature.
Yeah.
And then Circle of the Moon is being nature and liking spells.
Yeah, so those are the kind of ways that druids can lean into things. It's like how much do you want to interact with nature versus how much you want to be nature.
So, jumping straight in, what hit dice are they running?
1d8.
That's pretty beefy for a full caster. They're full casters.
I thought it was below average because like it goes from d6 to d12, right?
Well, the D12 is only done by the barbarian.
Yeah, but it's on there.
So
that's
it's kind of
that's
like
a standard.
mid. I don't know, I see D8, it's not a D6, that's what I'm putting out there.
Okay,
It's
yeah,
more than
you're
the
a
sorcerer,
spellcaster.
the wizard, I think the cleric is also a D8.
Yeah.
So, how would you build? What stats are we looking for a druid?
So to build your druid, you're going to want to focus mainly on wisdom as your highest stat, and then followed by constitution, which is a pretty easy build.
Yeah, although I mean, I've had druids that also lean into an almost ranger kind of aspect, and then they have dex up there just to get that sweet bow attack in.
Yeah, you could do if you want to go with finesse weapons, which you can, but it depends on how you want to build your thing. If you want to follow the strict spell casting, then you're going to obviously want to go into the wisdom.
Yeah, they run off wisdom, so wisdom should be your highest whatever you do.
And constitution will help a lot of things regarding like turning into nature and stuff like that.
It helps a lot also your concentration.
True.
Keeping concentration spells.
Yeah, keeping concentration.
It's a good just buff stat to have, really.
Yeah. So with druids, while you have proficiencies in things like light armor, medium armor, and shields, you should note you cannot have metal. Metal, anything. Better get that wood stuff, that leather stuff.
It does say that druids will not wear armor or use shields made of metal. I guess there's some leeway for flavor.
Exceptions.
Leeway for flavor, like if it's between a TPK and picking up a metal shield, maybe that could be a real character development moment for your party's druid.
It sounds like you're
They
just trying to
picked up
wiggle
a
out of the
metal
rules
shield.
as they're written, Joey.
Let me be free.
But yeah, I mean, the flavor of that is that druids have like a deep mistrust and disdain for like man-made things.
Yeah.
The man-made world.
Which I have had some druids vehemently roleplay. To
Yeah.
the detriment of the party.
Yeah, like the famous Reddit post on the logical consequence of this belief where you hate beehives as well because they're constructs.
That's brilliant. I like that.
So you can go on this spectrum, but that's on one end of it. Anthills must die.
I want to play that character now. So, what are your weapon proficiencies?
You can use things like clubs, daggers, darts, javelins, maces, quarterstaffs, scimitars, sickles, slings, and spears.
It's quite weird that they don't say simple weapons or martial weapons.
Very
and this.
specific
It is
things.
very specific.
Yeah.
I noticed some of them are made of metal.
Well, you know what? They didn't say anything about that, so maybe that means wooden scimitars.
A wooden scimitar. A
And
wooden sickle.
leather mace.
That's a blackjack, isn't it?
Just a rubber mace.
You know. Sock full of nickels.
Wooden nickels.
That's quite good.
Yeah,
So-
so that's what you're dealing with there.
So you have, those are your weapons, armor, very picky, druids,
Yeah, very specific.
very picky. Tools, herbalism,
You got a herbalism kit.
saving throws, intelligence, and wisdom.
Annoyingly, yeah.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
charisma.
so that's your
Not
proficiencies.
constitution, sorry.
Yeah, your proficiencies are for intelligence and wisdom.
Alright, so the skills, you can choose 2 from Arcana, Animal Handling, Insight, Medicine, Nature, Perception, Religion, and Survival. I'm not sure how I feel about religion being in there. That seems a bit of a man-made construct. Ooh.
Oh, whoa, we're getting in here. We're saucy. Getting saucy. Oh, don't flame us, okay?
We do have a listener in Alabama. So you can choose 2, so not too many. A bit on the lower end
Yeah.
of the spectrum for the amount of proficiencies you'll have.
Yeah, some
Arcana.
bonus skills. They all make sense.
Yeah, if I was to pick any, Arcana and Religion. But Medicine, that makes sense. Insight, Animal Handling, definitely. Yeah, they all make sense. Now, like rogues, druids get their own super secret language.
Oh, yes. Druidic.
Now, Druidic's a bit of an interesting one because you can dead drop Druidic.
Yeah, because Druidic is something that you can either use as a spoken or written language.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing about Druidic, kind of like Thieves' Cant, is that while it's not only relatively undecipherable by people who don't straight up know Druidic,
Yeah.
it also requires a DC 15 wisdom check to spot the message's presence.
Which is a bit of a metagamey check to ask for.
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's almost got a bit of a magical edge to it, I guess.
Yeah, kind of. I can imagine it as a language that maybe just looks so congruous with nature that you wouldn't even necessarily notice it as something being like.
It's just a load of twigs laid out on the
Yeah,
ground.
yeah. Like how would you know? It just spells words in English, but it's using leaves instead.
What does it mean? It says "fuck off, man."
You mom gay. Oh man.
Aw, shit. Got him.
Worst nat 20 I ever rolled.
So, the next part, spellcasting. Spellcasting is remarkably similar to clerics.
Yep, so you get your 2 cantrips from level 1,
Only 2, that's not too many.
and then it doesn't go up very high after that. So your cantrips will just go up 1 per few levels until it maxes out at 4.
Yeah. Clerics go a little higher, they max out at 5. But the way you change your spell list is pretty much the same as clerics, right?
Yeah, so if you remember from the clerics, you have access to your entire spell vocabulary. You can choose from any of them each day, and then choose an
The
amount
entire
that
list.
you want to from the entire list, and then choose an amount that you want to prepare each day. The catch
pretty cool.
is that you have to spend at least 1 minute per spell level for each spell on your list to pray or meditate.
Yeah.
Remember.
So that does not include the long rest, the 8 hours for your long rest.
Yeah, so that's the
So
thing.
make sure, DMs, if someone wants to replace like a load of 6th level spells, like 3 6th level spells.
There's a cost to it. You gotta
Yeah,
spend,
that's
like,
the better part of half an hour.
Yeah, you gotta spend some time.
Just
doing
enough for a troll to find you.
that. You know, I'm preparing a spell! That's my wizard voice. Next
Is
cross
it wizard troll?
Huh?
Is it a wizard troll?
No, the guy preparing his spells.
Oh, okay.
He's interrupted by the troll.
So, wait, the druid was a wizard?
No, okay, so the druid was preparing his spells,
Yeah.
and he was very upset that the troll came in and interrupted his preparing.
Yeah.
But then I gave him a wizard voice,
Yeah.
and that was purely by accident.
So you fucked up.
Yeah, but you didn't realize how, so we both fucked up.
So a quick go over, as we do always, your spell casting abilities. Your spell save DC is 8, plus your proficiency bonus, plus your wisdom modifier.
And your spell attack modifier is your proficiency bonus plus your wisdom modifier.
Super simple stuff. So that's it for spell casting.
Yep, they have access to ritual casting and your focus. While infuriatingly, I couldn't find anything in the player's handbook about what your focus is. Let's just say it's a twig.
An incredibly leafy twig.
Yeah, good stick. You ever go outside and find a good stick?
Yeah,
One
I
of those
miss
good
doing that as a
sticks.
kid.
Looks like a
You
little
go-
flintlock pistol or something.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Good stick.
It's a good stick.
So yeah, that's spellcasting. You've got the whole list to choose from. It's like clerics. Just don't change all of them at the same time. Now, the big boy. Your defining feature as a druid is wild shape.
Wild style.
What's that from?
I don't know, it sounds cool. It could also be a
like it.
Wu-Tang Clan thing.
It's tiger style.
Yeah.
Tiger style. Yeah, that is
tiger
Wu-Tang.
style.
Banger. So what is wild shape? Give us the 411. Is that what the Americans say? 411.
deets. Give me that 411.
What does 411 mean?
I think so, but honestly, that's kind of where I'm peaking at my age here. It's a little before.
I thought that was like 90s.
It was like 90s, but I was like, you know, I capped out at
The
8 in the
4-1.
90s, you know, like.
All right, fair enough.
Give me the 911.
So, wild shape.
Wild
What does
shape
it do?
is when you turn into a beast that you have seen before.
I was drinking water, but I'm suitably scared. That you've
Yeah.
seen before. That's a key detail.
Yeah, that's a thing. That's a good way for like a DM to kind of like, you can't.
Yeah, it's a good way for a DM to kind of introduce things slowly.
Yeah.
Although you can have some players who will not be mentioned who claim that they come from an enchanted forest and have therefore seen every animal.
Yeah, I'm from the Enchanted Forest. I've seen a jackalope.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let me have my balancing measures. Okay, enough salt.
So you can use this feature twice per long or short rest.
Or short. That's key. But it caps out at twice. It's always twice. It
Unless
doesn't
you
go up.
go into the circles, which we won't this episode. But yeah, starting out, this will be your like hard cap.
Yeah.
And as for what kinds of animals can you turn into, this will be up to your beast shapes table in your Druid section of your player's handbook.
You're really running with the voice, aren't you?
66!
So at level 2, you can be any creature with a challenge rating of 1/4 or less.
Yeah.
So some good animals that are challenge rating 1/4 or less are things like wolves are a very kind of classic early level one. Rats. Any of your favorites?
Boars.
Yeah, boars are solid. They can charge. They can jump around quite quick. They get around. They got a speed of 40. It's a good little middle ground.
Yeah, so you can kind of imagine as well that, like, even if you can't find an animal that's explicitly listed in the player's handbook or otherwise, because naturally there are probably more animals in the real world than there are in your D&D handbooks.
Yeah.
Unless you get enough expansions, I guess. One day. Then you can kind of use a similar animal's stats.
Yeah. Something also that people always forget, you can be a riding horse. That's a challenge rating quarter.
That's a fun thing for other players to take advantage of.
At level 4, you get to be a half challenge rating with no fly speed, but you can have a swim speed now. Did we say that? Challenge rating quarter with no fly or swim speed.
At level 2.
At level 2.
Yeah.
At level 4, you can start swimming. So that unlocks things like crocodiles, reef sharks. It unlocks the warhorse as well, which has slightly better stats if you wanted to help your paladin. It also unlocks the black bear, which is a solid kind of tanking class.
One of my favorite animals just in general.
Yeah, it's a solid one.
Yeah.
Good one. And at level 8, you can start to fly with a max challenge rating of 1. So this is things like great eagles. You also unlock things like bats, are quite good. And you unlock the brown bear, which is a bit of a beast, to be perfectly honest.
A little scarier than black bears.
Yeah, he's a good one. He's got multi-attacks, keen smells.
Yeah.
Not too shabby. So by 8th level, you've reached the pinnacle of what you can go into.
Yeah, and Wild Shape is fun. So let's go into what actually happens when you turn into one of these cool animals.
So firstly, the duration. You can stay in the beast shape for a number of hours equal to half your druid level, rounded down.
Pretty long time.
Yeah,
Like
it's a pretty long time.
A battle rate.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. But I mean, by 8th level, by the time you can be anything, by the time you've capped out, 4 hours.
Yeah.
That's a long time. You can revert to your normal form as a bonus action. So you've got to use an action to go into the beast form, but you just use a bonus action to come out. You'll automatically come out if you fall unconscious, drop to 0 hit points, and or die.
The interesting thing about that is that once you drop to 0 hit points in your beast form, you still have your original HP in your person form.
Exactly. And this is also something as well. When you change, you retain your intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. It's only your strength, dex, and con that are transformed.
That's an easy thing to forget.
Yeah.
So you'll have to kind of make a little reminder for yourself somewhere that like those stats are the things that you keep.
Yeah, you also keep your skills, your saving throw proficiencies, as well as getting extras. If the animal you're changing into has any, you'll gain those on top of the ones you already have. And if you have the same proficiencies, bonuses, whatever, you just take whatever's higher.
This could also affect how you want to make your build too, when you're thinking about what stats you should really like beef up. If you wanted to go hard into the wild shape, which you should because it's great, then you can kind of play on the stats that you get to retain.
Yeah, so you can put more into your wisdom, intelligence, and charisma and kind of dump out strength and dex and con.
Yeah.
You can't use legendary or layer actions, which are special moves that some super cool beasts can use.
Yeah, kind of a given, I guess. I mean, you see these things, and like, if you could transform into one of these beasts, you can kind of understand why. You can't use that.
Going back to what you said about transforming when you reach 0, any extra damage is carried over. So let's say you have 10 HP and you take 20 damage, you lose your 10 HP in your beast form, then you'll take an extra 10 HP damage in your human form.
Got you.
So you can be like
Double.
crushed.
Yeah, if something does enough damage to you.
But it's kind of like temporary hit points.
Yeah, like kind of a lot. And
Yeah, temporary hit points like come in less than 10 a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And here you can have like 30 odd.
Yeah,
In the case of a
easily.
bear.
Yeah, and then if you want, you can just poof yourself back into beast form next turn.
Yeah. And you just won't be knocked unconscious. You can't cast spells. This is a thing. So when you're in beast form, you can't cast spells. That is a bit of a hamstring that people don't first think of. Especially if you're in beast form, you've got to come out to cast one spell and then you want to go back in. That's both your uses done. You're going to have to take a short rest or something like that. However, transforming doesn't break your concentration. That's pretty cool. So if you've cast something already, that stays.
Yeah, so will you still have to take your constitution saving throws for your concentration spells if you take damage in your beast form?
Yeah, you will.
Okay.
You will. Which is why, I guess, con is recommended, like
So
we
you
said.
can keep those.
So yeah, if you can lean into it, you can lay out a good concentration spell, go into beast form, and hopefully keep that beast form spell going.
Yeah, which implies also that beast form itself is not concentration.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. You retain any features as well from your class or race, if it ever comes up. So I guess things like Tiefling's resistance to fire, you retain that, which is quite cool, but you can't use any of your special senses. So you'll lose dark vision and you'll have to be a fucking human.
Unless you're a bat, then you get bat sense.
As for equipment, you can choose whether it drops to the floor or kind of merges into your new form, like those Animorph books on
Yeah.
the front cover. Those were creepy as fuck, weren't they?
Yeah, I had a DM who ruled that if I could, because, you know, one of the first questions that you'll probably ask is, can I wear armor in one of my beast forms? And the answer that she gave was one that I quite like, where if you make a piece of armor that can fit you in your form, then you can wear it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what it goes with here. It literally says the DM decides whether it's practical for the new form to wear a piece of equipment. The equipment doesn't change size or shape.
Yeah, so you have to make something specifically for your thing.
So a big chainmail cloak. That's really the go-to for your bear form.
Yeah, but you can do a lot of cool combinations with this kind of thing if you wanted to have some kind of heist sort of plan or whatever. You can interact with the objects that you currently own in a reasonable fashion in your beast form.
Yeah, there's infinite possibilities for beast form. It's definitely one of the most open kind of abilities.
Yeah, it's super cool. You can be so crafty. You can be raccoons with their little hands.
I've had people turn into mosquitoes and then be teleported, dimension doored, I think, into someone's nose,
And
and
then
then revert and just rip their nose off via expansion. You can do a lot of fucky things with this.
yeah, we'll have to spend another episode talking about what's the damage that a creature takes when you turn into human form with them. It's the internal expansion damage table.
Christ. So that's wild shape.
Yeah.
That's your beast form wild shape. It's pretty... the sky's the limit, really. You can just... We could talk about this for hours and hours and hours and still not even scratch the surface of what's possible. So dig deep, get into your monster manual. At the back of the player's handbook, there is a list of kind of your basic animals that you may want to turn into. But have a little Google around. Find some good animals.
Yeah, and as far as druid circles go, they tend to go into the kind of like Radagast looking druid where you interact with nature more, or the kind of beast boy looking ones where you like really go more into wild shape type of stuff.
There's only 2 druid circles in the player's handbook. There's more that we'll cover, but compared to the cleric with their like 7,
Yeah.
it's very, very small. So you'll be basing a lot around your druid circle and wild shape and what that gives you. The rest of the druid is pretty empty. You get your ability score improvements like everyone else at 4th, 8th, 12th, 16th, and 19th.
A timeless body though.
At 18th level,
Oh, here we
for
go.
every 10 years that passes, your body ages only 1. If
You
you've
can be old.
if you have ever used that, please email me at toby@rulesaswrittenshow.com and tell me how the fuck that was ever useful in a normal game.
Like, yeah, I mean, maybe you have a game that just lasts so long.
Like, I know
Players
people,
that come and go. But...
I know people jump forward in their stories sometimes. Like, they'll just jump forward a few years or whatever. But if you're in a party and like your druid can carry on playing, but no one else can because we've got 100 years in the future.
What I imagine is that if you ever have a game where you start out at super high level, right? You can just say, like, I'm making a character who's, like, level 18, and I want to be 400 years old.
You are brave if you're starting at level 18.
Everyone tries it. Everyone tries it. Yeah.
The last thing's beast spells. This is genuinely useful. Also at 18th level, you can use your spells when in beast shape, but you can't provide any material components. So you're pretty hamstringed as to what you can do anyway. And finally, Archdruid. At 20th level, you can use your wild shape an unlimited number of times, which is very cool, very nifty. You can like pop between a load of things. You don't have to worry about popping out of wild shape to cast a spell, making the previous ability pretty fucking useless.
Yeah.
But also, like all level 20th abilities, it lacks some oomph.
Yeah, I guess that's more for like the I want to actually be Beast Boy type of thing.
Yeah, but I mean, wouldn't it be cool if you could just turn into an Ent? Like a challenge rating 5 Ent. If you're still maxed out at challenge rating 1 and then level 20, bam.
Well,
Nah,
that's
fuck
where
it, challenge rating 20.
That's
Ent.
where the circles come in. So the circles will give you different options depending on what you choose. So I think that's why it's a little lackluster.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I can accept.
Circle of the Moon, baby!
Okay, but that's pretty much it for Druids.
Yeah, that's that.
Boom.
Nature.
It's time
neat.
It's time for us to go play some D&D. Stop talking about D&D. Go play some D&D.
Yeah.
Take care. If you like this, you can support us at Anchor FM. Link is in the description of wherever you find this podcast. You can message me at toby@rulesaswrittenshow.com.
Or drop us an audio message on our site at rulesaswrittenshow.com.
We're open to it all. We're pretty easy. We swing every way.
Yeah, send us a smiley face somehow.
I would love that. All right. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.